Hello, this is Samsa again from GamingOnLinux.com, and first of all, I'm sorry that I haven't uploaded, well, anything during the past, well, 2 weeks, I guess. I've been sick, and I've had a ton of schoolwork that I have had to do, so that basically has meant that I wasn't able to do any videos, so this The Last Federation video that I'm doing now is actually quite late. But hopefully you will still enjoy this, and I think you will probably enjoy this game. And, well, I'm not so sure about the video, but this is a very nice game. I'm just going to say that already. So yes, The Last Federation, it's a game from the Archon Games. You might have seen my video of AI War, and it's from the same developer. And once again, the Archon Games, they have tried to do like strategy game in a different way. So it's not your typical it's a sort of a real-time strategy game, but not quite. But it's not your typical strategy game. So in the Last Federation, your task is to form the Federation. The final Federation after, sort of a devastating war that basically killed your people. You're from an extinct race of Hydrolls, and your planet got sort of destroyed. And now you want to stop that from ever happening again, and to do that you want to form a planetary annihilation. Now that also works, but not quite. But yeah, you want to form a planetary federation, and well, that's basically the idea here. And of course, I also have the Betrayed Hope DLC. This the DLC and the Steam version of this game were given to us by the developers. So I'm also going to discuss. I'm just going to tell you about the Betrayed Hope DLC later on, but first, because I haven't made a video on the vanilla game, I'm also going to talk about the base game here. So let's do an advanced start, and I can show you around. So let's select the standard game mode, and yeah, let's skip the story so that I can get straight into this, and I'm going to set the difficulty to normal. So yes, the game works kinda. It has two layers. The first of those layers is this space combat, which we can demonstrate immediately because the game just immediately throws us into this space combat. So I'm going to explain the backstory a bit. So once your planet got destroyed, you basically escaped, and you crash landed on one of the planets. In this case, we landed on the Peltians planet. This is going to make the game quite interesting. And then you basically got captured, and the race, the race that lives on the planet you crash landed on, they took you as a prisoner, but you eventually escape, and you capture their prototype spaceship after they have gone spacefaring. And now we're basically we have two options here. We can either destroy all of these ships, or dock with this survey platform and give some tech so that these Peltians spare our lives. But in this case, I'm fairly sure that I can take care of these guys. So let's use the spread shot, and let's start the fight. So the combat is turn-based here. Everything is divided into these short turns that last like 2 seconds or so, and during that, in between the turns, you decide where you want to move your ship, what weapons you want to use, what ships you want to target. And in this case, I think we could just simply target these capital ships here. And yep, that now we have all of these capital ships targeted. So hopefully we can destroy these ships quite easily. These are Peltians. They aren't that good at doing space stuff. They are more good at explodifying things. They like to bomb planets, but they aren't that great at doing space combat. So yeah, we have escaped from the Peltians, and now we get thrown into the other layer of this game. So you don't have a race of your own. You have one single spaceship, and you only have limited capabilities. So your task really is to manipulate each of these races here. And currently none of these races are actually spacefaring except the Peltians. So what we eventually probably have to do is we have to give all these guys spacefaring tech, or let them research it on their own. For example, I guess we could... the Skylaxians are going to get spacefaring tech quite easily. These timers here, if I unpause the game, they start ticking down. And once these reach 0, the race is going to get spacefaring on its own. But we can, of course, give them spacefaring tech without having to wait, so we can just immediately give them the specs and they will get into space and start building their own spaceships. And it's all about balancing the power. So you don't want one race to become way too powerful over the other people. You want to sort of make them become friends with each other and sort of get them to work together in order to form the alliance, the Federation. And once you have every single race that's left, so you can also destroy races. And every time I have played this successfully, I have had to eliminate at least one race. But once you unite all the races that are left under the Federation, then you win. That's the idea in the standard game mode. And what I think I'm going to do, we also have a quest here. We could get some terraforming specs to the Thoraxians. They are quite dangerous, so I might want to be on their good side. But it's going to expire in 11 minutes, so that shouldn't be too hard. Well, let's actually do this. The Skylaxians are going to get spacefaring on their own, and we can probably do some diplomatic stuff with them, so they will become our friends. But I want to be on the good side of the Thoraxians. They can be really dangerous, and if they get out of control, then we are just going to have a lot of bad time. So in this case, there aren't really any ships. There are just missile turrets and stuff like that. So we should be just fine with this. Let's just boost our shield power so that we can... Well, actually, let's put more power into engines as well. That way we are a bit more... a bit less vulnerable to their weapons, and we get to the drop zone here a bit faster. Also, I'm going to use the mass driver to destroy whatever turrets I can before we get to the drop zone. Technically, it doesn't really matter because, yeah, it's that easy. But I wanted to do that anyway. And we gained a bunch of credits from doing this. Usually you use credits to conduct diplomacy or to research stuff. But you can also buy stuff from the black market using the credits, like weapons. You need to sort of equip your ship with new weapons and stuff like that. But let's get the Skylaxians into space. And let's also hire a diplomat so that we get some quests from them every now and then. Because I want to be on the good side of as many of these races as possible. So yeah, let's smuggle these documents. Once again, let's just be a bit careful here and try to avoid these spy probes. We don't want to get caught, because if we do, then the Peltians won't like it.
The Skylaxians are now spacefaring. They are an
Great.
advanced species and disapprove of your race's past actions. However, they may just be the key to forming a federation, as their powers of persuasion over the other races are non-trivial.
And that's exactly why I wanted to get the Skylaxians into space, because Skylaxians are... each of these races work a bit differently. For example, the Peltians here, they are communist owls. They have, they don't really care about money, but what they do care about are voting proxies. So if you do good stuff with them, like if you, for example, build ships for them or give them technology, then they are going to give you voting proxies, and with the voting proxies you can affect their political system. In the case of Skylaxians, they have a senate, and the senate changes every now and then. They vote new people into the senate, and that changes their stance on different things. You can see their stances here. So currently they are quite pro-war, which means that we can do military deals with them, like destroy pirate bases or attack other races. And we can also do other stuff like federation deals, so we can convince other races to join the federation, or we can create a federation with other races, like, you know, stuff like that. But of course we cannot do that at the moment, but we need more influence over these guys, and we also need... well, we have the money, but we don't have the influence over these races. And none of the races are really spacefaring yet, so we need to wait a bit or give the spacefaring tech to everyone. But we don't want to rush everyone into space, because that's going to trigger a lot of wars, especially if we get the Thoraxians or the Burlusts, the two maybe a bit more dangerous races into space. Then we are most definitely going to have some wars at our hands. But having these guys here is a good thing. We can also do friendly acts with them. We can, for example, help them destroy pirate bases. We can aid them in a lot of different ways. And we also get credits by doing this stuff. We can also spend some credits, for example, to improve relations with different races. So Skylaxians are a good start, because they are really... they can persuade people into joining your federation once you have the federation going. And I could show you the Peltian Collective here as well. So currently they don't really like me, because I stole their prototype spaceship. But these guys aren't that dangerous. They really suck at combat. They are only really good at bombing planets. So we shouldn't really care about those guys. But we have a lot of other races here as well, and all of these work a bit differently. For example, this is the planet of the Burlusts, and the Burlusts are, I guess you could call them Klingons of some sort, because they really like war. War is everything, and they are led by different sorts of warriors, and you can also challenge them to combat, and you get leverage over them by doing that. And they don't really care about money either. They really only care about leverage. So once you have leverage with them, for if you have fought with them, then you then you can get them to do stuff. But usually Burlusts, they really like to piss off everyone, and what ends up happening is they have ships coming in from every possible direction, and then they are here just stuck. But because they are so good at combat, nobody can really conquer that planet. They just sit there and fight for the end of times. It's really interesting. Then you have Evox. These are sort of technological people. They like technology, and they are really fast at researching new tech. And you also need tech, so if we go into tech progress here, we can see all this tech that we have available. Some of this tech benefits us, but a lot of it is just beneficial to the different races here. And of course, we don't want to research stuff for ourselves only. We want other races to get this tech as well, so that they are a bit more effective at wars and they get better economy. So we can like collaborate with these races in order to get that tech. And I think that's basically it for the beginning of the game. I'm going to show you a bit further into the game. So this is one of my old saves, which I actually completed this save. So here everyone is already spacefaring, and like I said, the Burlusts, if I go to race relations, you can see that the Burlusts basically hate everyone and everyone hates the Burlusts. And there is a war going on with the Thoraxians and the Burlusts, the two most powerful races in the entire solar system. But the Burlusts are still holding. They have a population of like 2.1 billion, so they can't really penetrate their defenses, these Thoraxians. They are very, very tough at, you know, space combat and ground combat, but still they are not quite good enough to blow up the Burlusts here. And also the Thoraxians conquered one of the planets that belonged to a race that's now extinct, the Accusans. They are sort of capitalist robots that, well, they don't have any morals. They only care about the you know, money and stuff like that. Makes them very easy to like bribe, but of course they don't really care about, you know, peace and stuff like that. And I have an alliance going on here, so if I go to, well, I could go back here. So as you can see, all of these races with this star next to them, they are part of the Federation. So I have most of the people in my Federation currently. But once you get the Federation going, you also get to see this these anti-Federation alliances. Like in this case, the Evox and the Thoraxians have allied together against the Federation. They aren't technically at war with me, but they don't want to be part of the Federation, so we need to break their alliance in order to form the Federation. And one thing that we could do is wipe one of them out. And considering the Thoraxians, they have 2 planets, and they are super, well, dangerous. We shouldn't really do that, and I also have gotten good relations between the Skylaxians and the Thoraxians, which makes them a good candidate for a Federation member. So maybe we should blow up the Evox. And one thing that we could do is we could, if I go, apparently I'm dispatching something. I guess I'm doing like ground combat advisory, I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to just stop that. But let's go to the Pelsians. And actually let's go to the collective, not the friendly actions, and let's see if I can actually convince them to attack the Evox. That way we get them to attack the Evox. They are now at war, and we could do this Burlust joint ground invasion thing, and this is going to trigger combat once again. And the only thing we need to do is clear the space from these Evox capital ships, and that way we can make way for the ground invasion, which is going to happen on this planet. So let's switch back to energy blasters, because this ship is currently shielded, and that means that we can't really penetrate their armor without like weapons, or like for example well, I guess disruptors work quite nicely against them, but usually you want to use weapons like energy blasters against shielded ships like that. Okay, so they the shields are now down, so let's switch to mass driver. That's going to cause a bit more damage to their hull, and that should be one of the 4 flagships down. So now we only really have to care about interceptors for a moment, so let's use the spread shot and turn on the auto fire, which is going to just target ships by basically random. And let's find out. Okay, so that's the EPV Resolute. Once again, another capital ship. And once that's down, then we can focus on the others. So usually these missions are all about destroying either bases or docking with stations or destroying their flagships. In this case, we are just destroying their flagships. Let's focus our fire on the Resolute and then move on with the... I guess they still have shields, but my mass driver should still do some damage. It's not optimal. Yep, their shields are at 1000 at the moment, so it should be... I guess they are recharging their shields or something. Let's go back to... Okay, I think... Yep, now they are unshielded. So, with these interceptors, it's going to be a bit tricky to get proper hits in. The Falchion is there, so let's focus on that. And yes, I'm going to focus on you. We also have these special abilities. And these do a number of different things, like I can get more power into shields, I can turn on a cloaking field, which makes me invisible, or because we have so many interceptors here, I could use my anti-swarm lasers, and that's going to just wipe every single interceptor next to me out. And when I use those special abilities, I can also avoid enemy fire, because every time you use a special ability, it also destroys everything that's all of these bullets that are getting fired at you. And the devil is right there, so let's turn on the spread shot and use auto fire for the moment. I don't really want to fight these small frigates and stuff like that, so let's just avoid these guys. These are evac ships, so they usually have quite advanced weaponry, so that's why I'm being a bit careful with them. Of course, I'm also quite advanced at the moment, so it shouldn't be too hard to destroy all of these guys. So let's once again focus our fire on the capital ship. Actually, that guy is... Yep, it's a small ship, so this time we should use the spread shot instead of the energy blaster. And that's it. So now the Burlusts have sent a couple of troops onto the surface, so currently... And we can also do a joint bombing run, so let's do that. That means they are getting destroyed quite nicely. So, I guess this is the final space battle that I'm going to do, and after this I'm going to talk a bit about the expansion, the Betrayed Hope expansion. And I should probably focus more on single ships. Currently I'm just firing at everything. So let's actually focus our fire on those two. Okay, so that ship is now out of shields. Should be pretty easy for me to take out. Of course, I don't have any anti-capital ship weapons like... do I? No, I don't. I have just anti-swarm missiles. There are some abilities that you usually use against, you know, capital ships and bigger ships like that, but I don't currently have any. I could probably just switch some of them over. I have a lot of technology unlocked, so I should probably have that already. Also, I can pick up these evac pilots if I want to. I could sell them to slavery if I wanted to, but that's... The Federation doesn't like that, so let's... We are probably not going to do that, but we can... If we... Well, we are going to wipe out the evacs anyway, so... I have no idea what I'm going to do with them. But I mean, who cares? They're just some random pilots. Okay, so that's an interesting ship. That's the Aegis. I'm not sure. I guess these are just some random ship classes because they are not counted as capital ships. And just as our shields broke, we got out. But yeah, now they are bombing the planet, and they also have a couple of... Well, they have like... Yeah, they have 20 million troops on the surface as well. I can also join in on the thing here, so I could do orbital bombing. This is going to destroy buildings, and it's going to kill a bunch of their people. Currently I have killed like 3 million Evox. So, with the help of the Pelsians, this shouldn't last too long. And I should probably have the Federation formed in a reasonable amount of time. Of course, I would probably have to still get the Burlusts into the Federation, but if I have the Thoraxians as a part of my Federation, then I can just get everyone attacking the Burlusts, destroy these two worlds. It's not the perfect run. The perfect run would be to have no races wiped out, but in this case I'm going to form the Federation no matter what. So I don't really care about, you know, single races as long as the Federation is formed. I'm not that good at this game. If you are super good at this game, then you can probably, you know, you can ally with the people that you stole the prototype ship from and, you know, form the alliance without too much trouble and without wiping out anyone. But in this case, I'm probably going to have to wipe out the Burlusts and the Evox in order to form the Federation properly. Another option would be to pressure the Thoraxians into the Federation, but I don't see that happening considering that we don't have the power to do that. But yeah, that's the basic game mode for you. Now I'm going to talk a bit about the broken... no, not the broken, the Betrayed Hope expansion. So, the Betrayed Hope expansion does things a bit differently to the standard game mode. So you get two new game modes. You have the Betrayal and you have the Invasion. And they, in Betrayal, instead of forming a federation, you just want to wipe everyone out and conquer every single planet in the solar system. So you form temporary alliances, but your ultimate goal is to wipe out every single race, and and you also get your own planet in that. So you have your own planet which you can build ships on and order your ships to attack different places. So it's sort of, you know, a bit more standard 4X mechanics. Of course, it still works a bit differently to the 4X normal 4X games, but it works a bit like that. And then you have Invasion. In Invasion, the solar system is being attacked by a race called the Obscura. And the Obscura is a very, very powerful race, and they have very powerful ships, and they have tons of them. And in Invasion, your goal is to destroy the Obscura, and once you have the Obscura destroyed, then the Federation forms automatically. So your job here is to just get the races fighting against their common enemy together, and not, you know, fight with each other like they tend to do in Invasion. And that's the basic idea behind these two. I like the Invasion game mode a bit more than the Betrayal game mode. The Betrayal game mode it tries to be a 4X game, but it uses the standard The Last Federation mechanics, and in my opinion that doesn't make for a good 4X game. I like the current way the Last Federation does the whole not being a civilization, not being a race thing. I like that. But in Betrayal, it tries to be a 4X game. I can show it to you. It tries to be a 4X game, like, well, anything else, except that you have sort of clunky mechanics regarding your civilization. So instead of, commanding ships here, like you normally do, you still have only your ship. But what you can do is you can build ships here, and you can set these attack flags onto different worlds. And that way, every time there are free ships here, they are going to fly over to the planet you want to attack, and then they are going to, start fighting against the ships on the other planet's orbit, and you can join them after that. But you don't have, you don't have control over your planet like you do in, say, Master of Orion, for example. I like those games. But yeah, that's the basic idea. And of course you can do friendly acts with your own planets, and that means you can do stuff like improve the local environment, the economy. You can do technology research. You can expand the usable land area. You can create, you can build space outposts, hire scientists and people like that. And then you just build your ultimate fleet, you get all the ultimate tech, and you wipe out everyone. And that's the basic idea behind Betrayal. And of course you can still do what you normally do in the Last Federation, like you can still contact the races, and you can still ask them to do stuff like go to war with each other. Of course, one thing that happens in Betrayal is that everyone sort of starts by... They don't really trust you. Everyone except the Evox and the Peltians, they are just scared of me. Everyone else just sort of doesn't trust us. And the Skylaxians are sort of neutral. So in this case, it's going to be a bit more difficult to get these races to, be friendly with you. But of course, that's not really what you want to do in here. You just want to get them to fight against each other, and once they are sort of weakened, then you start attacking them. And I guess what we could do is... how many ships do I have? I have 3 fleets, or 3 armadas with the defense power of 33. And the Skylaxians have a defense armada of 4 with the defense power of 80, so we can't really fight them. Accusans are even worse, and so are the Burlasts. So I'm not going to play this for too long, but I'm just quickly going to show you. So let's go to Hostile Actions. And what we can do here is we can place an attack beacon. And what this is going to do is it's going to call our ships to this planet, and then they are going to fight with each other. So let's see when that actually happens. So let's... I can't actually go any faster at the moment, but those are our ships. And they are probably going to start to move over here eventually. Let's actually... can I actually build ships here? No. It doesn't seem like that. Well, I can aid the economy, that's always good. The Burlasts are spreading hate, that's actually a good thing at the moment, because now it's just going to make everyone hate each other. And the Burlasts. And the Burlasts are probably going to commit suicide, in a way, once again, because they are just going to attack everyone. Yeah, they like to do that, but I'm just hoping they won't attack me.
The Peltians are now spacefaring. They are soft
great.
and weak. However, they have a penchant for blowing things up from orbit. They may be easy allies to win over.
Yeah, we don't really care about them. But yeah, another thing about the Betrayal game mode is that you also have different sorts of minerals. For example, improving the economy here is going to cost us some perovskite. I guess that's probably the way it's pronounced. Anyway, you use that to... you use these various... I guess... Where do we have the inventory? Yep, here. So here we can see what types of raw resources we have here, and you use these to do stuff like improve the economy, to research stuff, and so on. and that's your sort of economy. You of course can mine stuff from your planets and your moons to, you know, get more of those minerals. And so far there hasn't been any war. We lack war. I guess well, what we can do probably then, I imagine we can... Yep, we can attack them with help from the Borlosts. This is interesting. But it seems we can't actually... Do we have... No, we don't have any people on the planet either. So yeah, as you can see, this is a bit clumsy in my opinion, because I don't really like the place attack beacons method of conducting war against people. I more like to, you know, sort of control my own fleets a bit more, you know, to have more control for myself over the units. In this case, we're just going to place beacons here, and then they are going to go here when they feel like doing that. Yeah, that's the Betrayal game mode. I don't really like the Betrayal game mode, to be honest. It just doesn't, in my opinion, work so well. But on the other hand, the Invasion game mode, this one I like. Because in this case, you have the typical sci-fi scenario of an overwhelming enemy, against which you have to, you know, unite the other races. So this is the planet that the Obscura are currently controlling, and as you can see, they despise us. Our influence over them is minus 3,000, so that means that we won't be able to ally with them in any possible way. We can't even conduct like friendly acts with them. We just have to fight them. And the way we do this, of course, is, yeah, everyone is sort of neutral towards us. So what we want to do here is, once again, we want to go for the Skylaxians, or the Andors, I guess, to get one of the democratic races on our side, and that way we can improve relations to the other people. Of course, creating a federation in this case is not going to, it's not going to be that important, but of course we want them to sort of ally with each other, and of course that way we can get them to fight against the Obscura. So yeah, we would probably just start by, well, we don't have the credit for a diplomat, but we could of course do other stuff like expand usable land area, which is going to give us a lot of money, which we can then use to further improve our relations. Of course, the various races are going to immediately start fighting the Obscura. Currently they are at war with nobody. That's interesting. I guess they just don't like the Obscura, so they immediately send some raid ships, but they are not really at war yet. And of course, because the Obscura currently has a defense power of 460, yeah, that means that they are going to be a bit tricky to fight. And they also have very powerful ships, so if I go and attack them on my own, it's probably going to end up destroying my ship. So yeah, it's a bit tricky. But yeah, this game mode I really like, and I have also completed this game mode. So I have actually killed the Obscura, and the way I did it is I convinced a couple of these races to sort of fight the Obscura on in the orbit around the planet, and to, you know, get them to keep the fleet busy. And then I convinced the Peltians here. Of course, the solar system is randomized every time, so these planets are going to be a bit, yeah, in different places. Yeah, I convinced the Peltians to join the attack, and I got them to bomb the crap out of the planet. And because the Obscura, they don't have that many people. Of course, they have quite a few, well, people on their planet, but it's still just 284 million. Not like, for example, the Thoraxians, who gets like billions and billions of people on their planet. So eventually what happened is they just got bombed out of existence, and that seems like a sort of a quick way to get rid of them. So just bombing the planet with advanced bombing equipment seems to work great against the Obscura, especially when their fleets are still busy with ships from races like the Evox and Accusans. But yeah, I like this. I like this setting, and I like the way this game mode works. But I don't really like the betrayal game mode. It's sort of, in my opinion, it just doesn't work with a game like The Last Federation. Of course, I imagine it's probably it was probably implemented because people wanted The Last Federation to be a full, like, 4X game. I've seen forum threads like that on Steam forums where people asked if they could play as a race, and I guess that's their way of sort of complying with their wishes. But in my opinion, it just doesn't work. I like the way the standard game mode works, and I also like the way the invasion game mode works. And I've really enjoyed this game. I have played this game a lot, and I also almost pulled an all-nighter with this game. It's very addicting, especially once you get a bit more into it. Of course, you're probably going to fail a couple of times before you sort of get the hang of it, but it's not that difficult. In my opinion, this game is a lot easier than AI War, which was a bit tricky. And yeah, I suggest that you pick this game up, especially with the sales that are going on in Steam. It's probably worth picking The Last Federation up. And also, if you sort of like the invasion game mode, then Betrayed Hope might be an expansion to pick up as well. Personally, I don't really like the expansion all that much. I like 50% of it, and I guess it's worth picking up for the invasion game mode, but I don't really like the betrayal game mode. It just doesn't work in this game, and it sort of feels forced a bit. It's not my favorite, but the invasion game mode sort of it makes the expansion seem a bit better, in my opinion. And I like the invasion game mode. It sort of twists the game in an interesting way and introduces an interesting gimmick to the original game, and I like it. It's awesome. And I also, I love the base game here. So absolutely get The Last Federation if you have any interest in these sort of sci-fi diplomacy Federation building sorts of games. I imagine if you are a Star Trek fan, this might be something for you. I get the interesting, especially I get the Star Trek vibe from this. I just love it. I'm a bit of a Trekkie myself, so it definitely makes this game a whole lot more interesting for me. And I imagine if you like Star Trek, then it's probably going to affect the same way to you. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to add to this, so hopefully you have enjoyed this video, and I'm going to continue with these videos on the normal pace, if at all possible, now that I'm actually a bit more healthy and I don't have so damn many exams to do. So yeah, naturally we are going to see you in the next video.